The cursed village of Dustin had always been a place of dark legends and eerie stories, whispered about in hushed tones by the few brave souls who dared to speak its name. It was said to be nestled deep within a remote, mist-shrouded valley, far removed from the bustling world outside. Despite the countless tales of horror that surrounded Dustin, I couldn't resist the lure of exploring its mysteries for myself. My journey began on a sweltering summer day, as I followed the winding, overgrown path that led into the heart of the valley. The trees loomed over the road, their dense branches casting ominous, twisted shadows that seemed to beckon me forth. The atmosphere was heavy with foreboding, and an indescribable feeling of dread crept over me, but I couldn't turn back now. As I approached the village, it appeared as if out of thin air. Dustin's architecture was old, its cottages and church spires worn and decayed. The place had an unsettling stillness, as if time itself had abandoned it. I pressed on, footsteps crunching on the gravel road, my only companion in the eerie silence. A dense fog hung over Dustin, cloaking the buildings in an impenetrable shroud. The mist obscured details, making the village seem spectral, as if it were a phantom from the past. Broken windows stared at me like hollow eyes, and the wind whispered secrets I couldn't decipher. It felt as if the village itself was alive, watching me with malevolent intent. I began to explore the crumbling houses, one by one, each revealing a chilling tableau of abandonment. Tables were set as if waiting for long-departed residents, and children's toys lay forgotten on dusty floors. In one cottage, I discovered an old journal, its pages filled with the desperate scribblings of someone who believed the village was cursed. The author spoke of a dark ritual, a sinister pact that had brought ruin upon Dustin, and how the curse sprayed on those who dared to enter. Nightfall arrived, and I made my way to the village square. An eerie sight awaited me there. An ancient well stood at the center, its stones covered in moss and vines. Encircling it was a circle of scarecrows, weathered and decaying. The air grew cold, and an unnatural hush descended upon the square. In a moment of reckless curiosity, I reached out to touch one of the scarecrows. To my shock, it crumbled to dust at my touch. At that instant, the well, which had been dry, began to seethe and bubble with inky blackness. From its depths emerged a pale, skeletal hand, then another, as if seeking escape from its watery prison. It was a sight too horrific to comprehend, and terror took hold of me. Panicked, I stumbled backward and fell to the ground. But the earth beneath me seemed to shift and pull me in, as if it had a mind of its own. I clawed at the ground, but it was like quicksand, dragging me into a subterranean tunnel that spiraled deeper and deeper, further from the surface and the cursed village. Finally, I emerged in an underground chamber, dimly lit by a ghastly, greenish glow. The air was heavy with the stench of decay, and my heart pounded with dread. I was not alone. Around me, shadowy figures whispered in a language I couldn't understand, their eyes burning with malevolence. I realized I had entered a hidden realm, a place that existed beyond the curse that plagued Dustin. The figures closed in on me, their voices growing louder, their words a cacophony of torment and despair. They were the villagers, trapped in a nightmarish existence, and they blamed me for their suffering. They reached out, their skeletal hands grasping at my flesh, pulling me closer to their torment. As I screamed, I awoke with a start, back in my own bed, bathed in a cold sweat. It was a nightmare, or so I hoped, but the memories of Dustin and the cursed village still haunted me. A chilling reminder that some legends are not meant to be explored, and some places are better left untouched. I shudder to think what would have happened if I had not awakened from that dream. The curse of Dustin still lingers, waiting for unsuspecting souls to stumble upon its dark secrets, ready to draw them into a nightmare from which there is no escape.